guys, yes, I am back for another informative video. I came across this video here a couple of nights ago, and I wanted to share this information because we are slowly starting to merge into a truth singularity moment. I believe that moment will truly be revealing itself possibly in 2030, just like it's been predicted in some of these other videos I've come across, where they supposedly have a military person that is speaking about the timelines, and all the timelines merge into one in 2030, and that these denizens of the underworld can no longer hide from the truth that is coming. And maybe it's true, I don't know. I feel like the event that everybody is going to be waiting for will be around that time, and that's going to be the moment of truly revealing everything. And right now we are in Revelations. If you haven't figured it out already, people are dumping everything that they know and everything that they find and research into the internet to be considered for, all of the truth and putting pieces of this puzzle together, because that's really all we're doing. We're trying to share these moments together because it takes us coming back and realizing that we need each other in order to survive the onslaught from the darkness. Now, this guy is Stephen Benoon, and he has this channel, Israeli News Live. Very interesting information because, again, I've been following this whole inner earth narrative for years now, since I've been in Hollywood studios listening to all kinds of different people speak. There have been these people who have this narrative about Mount Shasta and the beings that live beneath Mount Shasta. There's supposed to be Talos, a place called Talos underneath Mount Shasta. And then over in Tibet, beneath the mountains there's supposed to be a place called Agartha, and all these other inner earth lands and cities that are amazing with high technology. What is the earth, guys? What is this plane of existence? I believe it can be explained best in the Norse cosmology of Yggdrasil. And I also feel like with all of the different realms that are out there, Niflheimer, Muspelheimer, Asgard, all of these places, I feel like there's possibly good and bad in all of those places, just like there is here. I don't know, never been there. I wish we could go there. That would be simply amazing, to be on tour and go to some of these different lands that we've never even dreamed or fathomed that could be real. I don't know, but we're kind of squeaking forward. And I think what's happening is that the giants of old are some of these beings that have these underground cities and high technology and all of this knowledge, and that they have the UFOs, and that they are trying to fight for us and help us to regain control of our world because we've lost control. And they can't be our saviors, but they can show us different ways of being. And I believe that this event that is rising right now, with all of the truth coming together and starting to coalesce into one form, is going to be a pivotal moment that we must manage and take care of. Like, we have to be aware of this because of where we're going in the future with all of the technology that is tied to the underworld that we are embracing fully right now. And I feel like these beings are trying to help us grasp a hold of the concept that they exist, and the technology possibly comes from them originally, has been hijacked by thieves, and the thieves have been getting away with jumping timelines and jumping through portals and using the technology to phase in and out of our reality, because I feel like that is all it truly is these frequencies can be tuned in like a radio dial, like I've said before, and you can phase in and out with those frequencies. So they've been chasing them through time, kind of like the police of time, and trying to get everything back in order because we're not supposed to be jumping around like that. We've got to be here to do our lessons and to learn from this existence and to be spiritually adept before we can handle that kind of technology. So this video is very interesting, and I've got to play some of it just because I want to share with you what is being said out here in Israel and other places with the rabbis. So here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit of this. This is not to usurp his work, but I want to share it and then share the link to this video so that you guys can go and check it out yourself and listen to the whole thing. Without further ado, here we go.
Today's broadcast is going to be, well, I would have to say it's going to be an eye-opener. And at the same time, it's going to be controversial, no doubt. This is kind of going to spearhead the way for many, many, many more topics that we'll be speaking on. But we're talking about global dominance, new world order, new coming age. As we're watching things that are happening, especially over in Israel, globally, etc., and all the intel that has been shared with me just in the last 4 years, I clearly recognize the advent of a global change taking place right before our eyes. But it's not going to be a change that we want to see. It is definitely going to be a very demonic change. And so with that, we're going to be getting into this. I just happen to have this article open on the screen more for a prop for you to see that the reptilian humanoids that once inhabited the earth, ancient reptilians, the unanswered mystery of the 7,000-year-old Ubide lizardmen. That's the title of that on this article here, ancientorigins.net, ancient Greece particularly, where it's speaking about there. But it's not just looking at this reptilian idea or agenda. I mean, let's face it, Jesus says in Matthew 23, he says one place about the Pharisees, you are of your father, the devil. Another place he says in there that he calls them serpents and vipers, clearly identifying them somehow genetically connected to possibly a reptilian ancestry. Now, it doesn't mean that all Jews are connected in that regards, but he specifically was speaking about the Pharisees in particular there. There's so much that could be said about these things on so many levels. So there's some things I'm going to talk to you about today, including, let's see if I got it right here. This here is the transcript of one of the History Channel shows there. And this one here is where we get Rabbi Ariel Sadok. This is him right here. And here he is even on the History Channel right there, Rabbi Ariel Bar Tzadok. In Judaism, he's not controversial. But, of course, the more that Christians begin to look at him, the more controversial things become. You're going to see some quotations that are made of him in the History Channel there. And it's very disturbing. He actually says that the serpents are the seraphim, the reptilians are the seraphim, and that they live in inner earth. So I'm actually going to be quoting a lot from that article or from that particular history broadcast on the printed version that I see there. But I wanted to share too with you this right here. Just as I was doing the research on these different things there, I came across this video here from Umran TV, the English version here. How could Israel rule the world and take over USA and China? I think it's kind of interesting, some of the things that this Muslim cleric says. So I want to play a clip of that for you just so you can hear that as well. So let's listen in.
Rule the world, that is take over the US. If China is the second largest economy now.
It is Dajjal who wants to rule the world, the false Messiah. And he's taking the Jews for a ride. And it's the last ride on which they ever go. Most of them, unfortunately, have eyes and yet cannot see. So just like most Muslims as well, they have eyes and yet cannot see. He wants to rule the world. And he wants to rule the world and then hand over that rule to the Jews, meaning to the state of Israel, not to those Jews who oppose Israel. The most important part of his plan.
I want you to notice some of the things that he says. I actually am amazed at his accuracy in what he says, but he's talking about the Antichrist, the false Messiah. I guess that's the term. I can't quite hear how he pronounces that word there, but he's speaking about that. And but then he talks about that basically the Antichrist wants to take over the world and then hand it over to the Jews. And he said, but he doesn't want to hand it over to those Jews that oppose basically what's happening in Israel, but rather handing it over to those Jews that are, well, like we see the problem going on in Israel right now. It is a battle for power. And most of the Jewish people in Israel are totally against what Netanyahu's government is doing right now. So I wanted to just clarify that. Let's listen a little bit more.
Was disclosed to us when Allah sent down the last revelation. Nabi Muhammad was.
Now, that last revelation is talking about the Jews going to rule the world. Let me see if I can find the part where he speaks about that.
Riba. And in riba, one component of riba, the second one is the banking system. But the first one is the monetary system. What is money? And they have already achieved it. Yes. All that now remains is to get rid of all of these national currencies, and India is leading the pack. India demonetized the 1,000 Indian rupee and the 500 Indian rupee note, was it last year? And caused so much destruction in India, so much trouble. The European Union is demonetizing the 500 euro note, or maybe they've already demonetized it. And around the world now, they're demonetizing the big notes. And if you travel by air sometimes and you want to buy a bottle of water, you can't buy it with money. No cash. We're moving away. We are moving away from these currencies to what is called and proclaimed as a cashless world, and they call that progress. They call that progress. But if you are faithful to the truth which came in the Quran, you will understand that the rope is tightening around your neck. And they will soon come with one universal currency for all of mankind. Of course, it will be electronic. And be controlled by one central bank. So goodbye to state sovereignty. Goodbye to state sovereignty. Which is why they are inundating Europe with refugees today. That's why they are inundating Europe with millions of refugees today. Because state sovereignty has to go. Nationalism has to go. It is one world society coming, and one world government, and one currency. And that one currency for all of mankind is slavery for us. So it's not a question of how are they going to establish their rule over the world. They have already done it while the scholars of Islam were sleeping. You have to excuse my anger. Oh yes, those of you who know me will know that I have been, even here in Malaysia, for 25 years now. So if I show some anger, you have to excuse me.
All right, so there, and of course I do not support the Quran, nor do I support the Muslim religion, but the wisdom of that man is quite astounding, and he is exactly on point. I've known this I've told you that they're going to do away with it. Everybody knows that they're going to do away with the currency system. But the thing is, as he points out, it's going to be controlled by one bank. Now, what bank is that going to be?
So that's just a little bit about that man and what he had to say about the world currency that is coming. But let's go and check up on things. Now, this is yournews.com, and it's stating some things. Now, I don't know anything about this, the validity of this website, but I have heard about the BRICS nations. This is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And there are many different countries that have joined forces with Russia as, you know, the charge leading the way to a gold standard once more. That's why it is stated in Edgar Casey's research, you know, of going into the sleeping prophet, which is basically like a self-hypnosis trance that he would do. He predicted that out of Russia comes the hope of the world. So on edgarcasey.org, out of Russia will come hope. And this is one of the readings that he gave from 1921 to 1944. And they were grouped together as world affairs readings since the requesters were seeking to better understand the events happening around them from a global perspective. So down in this article, it says, it's not necessarily referring to an individual, but the readings seem to indicate the spirit of the nation. The first statement given in 1932 specifically mentions Russia's gradual religious development. The second, given in 1944, seems to suggest that it is the concern of the Russian people for their fellow man that is the basis for this hope. There is also a suggestion that an equitable partnership between Russia and the United States could become beneficial for both, as Russia possesses more raw resources than any other nation, and the U.S. has better abilities to develop those resources. So in this reading 3976-10, given on February the 8th of 1932, the suggestion to the sleeping Casey included a request for a plan for establishing peace on earth and goodwill among men. Now, as I have been a part of a community of people who are healers and others who are actually wanting to step into their true purpose on this plane of existence, and that is to bring about huge leaps and bounds for humanity in the areas of like education, health, and farming practices, bringing back our food supplies. All of these people are forming alliances with each other, and the groups are mounting. They are getting bigger by the day. I have been a part of a group that is called Agents of Truth, and they meet once a month, and they talk about all of the things that are coming. And there was also another event that was held up at Lake Lanier Islands in North Georgia that was about the next steps after all of this demise for the world, that people came from all over the U.S. and other countries. They came from different places to speak about what they are actually a part of. So there are movements taking place. And if you want to be a part of the movement, find out whatever your interest is and join forces with people. I personally know people that are trying to create healing centers, and they are starting to actually get diagrams for construction. And I mean, like, things are truly moving forward. It is not going to be a completely dark Age of Aquarius. If you look at the Age of Aquarius based on the physical body of the human body, there are two foundations that are emerging from the flames of what we've all witnessed in 2020. The two legs or the two ankles are the beginning foundations, and that's where we are in the physical body. And as we go through the evolution of time up the body, up to the knees, there are going to be two columns that dictate what this world is about. That's why in Dolores Cannon's work, she talks about the two earths that are going to be emerging. One is going to be for the people who have not truly advanced, I guess, spiritually, but have advanced more so in technology, and they embrace that as their religion. And then you're going to have the metaphysical people that are more tied and bound to nature. And this is how I interpret it, because I can see what's happening now, just from my perspective, looking around at all of the different groups that are forming alliances and allegiances and are moving to create two different Earths. One is going to be very natural. The other one's going to be very septic. It may be fun for a while to be a part of the technology that's rising, but I'm telling you, in the end of the age of Aquarius, it's going to be the biggest challenge for all of the people that are left in the future. You know, for the people who are having children, their children's children, and subsequently keeping up with all of the different generations that come, they are the ones that are going to be facing more challenges based on embracing the technology. And hopefully I don't have to come back, because I really don't like the technology. It does not impress me. It does not make me happy. I see how complicated it makes our lives. It pulls us away from the individual experience of actually being physical with our friends and family and just strangers on the street. It's really doing a number on the human experience. And I believe it's going to make a lot of people sad. Like, a lot of people are going to be feeling depression, like they already are, with social media and how distorted and disconnected it truly is. I mean, look at how emotionless it is to text people and email people. You don't get the emotions and the energy from being in someone else's presence. So it's very septic and stale, devoid of any life. And then also the emotions, you know, just being human and having empathy and compassion for each other. You don't feel it with all of this messaging that we do. So it's best if we pick up the phone and call our friends and family and talk to them, because the world's going to be very lonely very quickly. But the people who can't handle being in public and being around other people, they're going to feel right at home in that fake reality. And if you want to know what's coming, go and watch the series Black Mirror on Netflix. It will tell you literally everything that is coming for the future. And it is no joke. You can actually take each of the episodes and go and research online in science all of the different things that are there. It will blow your mind, because when I came across that series about 3 or 4 years ago, I was just like, are you kidding me? Like, this is the playbook. And Black Mirror is the technology that we look at every day: the computer, the cell phone, the TV. If you're looking at it, it's a black mirror for scrying into the future, the past, and the present. And that is exactly what you do with the technology, with the apps, with everything. And when you put 2 and 2 together, you're like, wait a minute, what? Yes, we are scrying into the future, the past, and the present with the technology. It's doing it for us. But we do not realize it. We think this is all fun and games. Honestly, it's nothing but a headache and a frustration to try to keep up with the different programs. You know, they're always coming out with the latest technologies. And you're like, oh my gosh, this is exhausting, trying to keep pace with it all. I just want to get back to basics. You know, I appreciate what nature provides, and it's so simple. And that's all we truly need. But look at what we do. And it's school. We're going to 2nd grade, y'all. Aquarius is going to be round 2 for the human experience, because we started at the feet, which is Pisces. Now we're going up to the ankles, up the shins in Aquarius. And then from there, we'll go up to the knees and the thighs in Capricorn. And then getting up to Sagittarius with the buttocks and the powerhouse and all that stuff. So it is going to be interesting. I wish I could just sit back and fast forward through all of these experiences that are coming, you know, looking at how the world changes and evolves, and how we destroy the world and then recreate the world. And then constantly the consciousness is following a narrative. Because the young souls, the one who have not had their self-discovery of who they truly are, they're just going to keep following whatever story is out there. And some of us are just like, I just want to sit by the sidelines now that I see what is going on and where things are going. And I hope that I can just retain all of this knowledge. Believe me, I'm going to be focused on that once I get into learning how to do thoughts work from the Emerald Tablets. He teaches you how to do all this stuff. And I truly feel like there's a lot of truth to that book. It may seem like a story to someone else, but I'm telling you that it has truth in its pages. And when you know the truth, you will feel it, and it will lead you into a particular direction. So this is just, it's our world, guys, and it's a strange one. And I'm feeling right at home with all the weird woo things that are starting to be revealed, but we are headed for a true singularity where people are going to know absolutely about all these other beings and where we've been, where we've come, and where we're going. Now, so let's just read a little bit of this article. How America Ends. Putin announces the BRICS global reserve currency project to replace the petrodollar. This is not about ending America, because Putin and Trump are very good friends. And this is Mike Adams. Mike Adams is legitimate. If you guys want to know about Mike Adams, the health ranger, this guy owns his own lab, and he's been speaking about health for years. I was following him and how he was telling people how to help themselves through different nutritional means of eating specific foods and, dietary needs. But then he started getting sort of political, reading more things about what is happening around the world. This guy is legitimate. And I suggest looking up the health ranger, Mike Adams, on the internet and finding out his information, and get in touch with him if you want to. So he owns Natural News. And the biggest news of the week is undoubtedly the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe versus Wade. There's another bombshell that quietly broke 2 days ago, one that will have a vastly more profound, devastating consequences on the world than any decision coming from SCOTUS. Russian President Putin announces that BRICS nations are going to roll out a new alternative to the U.S. dollar's global reserve currency status. This absolutely has to happen. That man, or whomever he was in the video, he may not know about BRICS. He didn't even discuss BRICS. He just talked about how India was dropping its rupees and things. But this is what they've decided to do, because they realize that the petrodollar is not a viable source for a monetary system anymore. They realize that it's tied to these dark entities that have taken over the world, and they've tried to drag every nation with them under the control of darkness. And Russia pulled out and pushed back away. Russia sits very close to where Mount Sumeru is. I'm just going to put that out there. You guys can go do your own research on all of that. But I believe that Putin has been in touch with those entities, the Hyperboreans, that live at Mount Sumeru. They are the gods who live forever. We are the peons that live for blip in time compared to them. But this notion with Putin is about reestablishing the gold standard. Look up the BRICS nations and go look at whatever the current news is, because their narrative is gaining ground right now. And they're going to pull the world along with them. Whichever nations can be recaptured and reclaimed back to a more sovereign level of citizenship. Now, the word sovereign and citizen and all this is actually terms that are used in the corporate bylaws. And we've really got to figure out what to use, because it's confusing. They use legalese to trick our minds into thinking that we are part of an entire system that is still owned and operated by the U.S. Constitution. But that's the trick. It's not the United States of America Constitution anymore. It is the U.S. corporation. And if you notice, they don't use the A anymore. They erased it and removed it years ago, and just call it United States Inc., pretty much. So whenever you see US, know that they're talking about the corporation that was hijacked by thieves, which are the bankers and the lawyers, because the lawyers actually dictate what the bankers can do and what they can't do. And the Bar Association runs the banking system, basically, because they could create all these rules and regulations. And the banking system is just a system to enslave the rest of the world. Banking was never supposed to be a thing. It was never supposed to be legitimized, but that is the black magic on the minds of the masses. And we are the owners, and this is our dominion. We, you and me, and every other person standing on the ground with their 2 feet, who is actually human, real people, not these usurpers that are portraying themselves as humans. They are using technology. They're hiding behind genetics and technology, and they are not human. I wish we had a way to see their auric fields, because we would know absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are some other creatures. And they look human, but they are not. And they've been using genetic alterations to manifest more reptilian type humans, also some other kind of creature from the underworld. This is part of Yggdrasil, because if you look at Yggdrasil, there's nothing but serpents under the ground that are around hell and all that. The Jormungandr that was thrown out of Asgard, as well as Nidhogg, dog being God spelled backwards. All this stuff. God and dog and Nidhogg are too close to not be one and the same. I'm telling you, there's there's stuff here to confuse the human. And since we only live these tiny short lives, we don't know what's going on. But there are those who do. And this is the weird part that's coming. And, I'm just trying to soften the blow, because when this thing breaks about these other beings that are all around us, that have been here the entire time, that nobody just wanted to talk about, they were hiding, all of these merfolk out here and other beings in all these other aspects of our world. Yes, they've been trying to hide it, and people have been too fearful to speak about it because they were in fear of their lives and also their reputations. Yes. So here it goes. Let's just skip down here. Project Sandman refers to a group of over 100 countries that plan to simultaneously denounce the US dollar as a global reserve currency. I believe Trump is on our side, but again, I do not see Trump as a savior. I do not. I feel like these people have to play their role just like you and I do. And here we go. This will likely take place on a Sunday evening, USA time. Because why Sunday? Listen to this. Very important. That's why I say, please, guys, please start trying to educate yourselves on symbolism. Sunday, the day of the sun. The sun is the light of the world. If you don't believe the sun is your savior, your risen savior every single day, imagine a day without the sun. He would not be saving us. This is where Jesus comes in. Jesus is the sun. It's the savior of the world, and it's there every day. The sun walks across the sky in 12 steps. It's also called Horus and Luke Skywalker, as it walks across the sky in 12 steps, 12 Horuses, 12 hours. See where this goes? When you get into a cult, you get into symbolism, get into alchemy, and look at these colors and what they all mean, you will speak the language. You become the linguist, and you know what is being said. So Sunday evening, very important. It's coming soon because they have to act fast. That's why things are happening at a quickened pace. They are snatching the reins of control from these denizens, and they are driving us back. They're going to steer the ship back onto its sailing course. Instead of following what happened in 2020, they wanted to permanently lock us down, and they did not. And they also wanted to take the guns. They wanted to stomp out any herbal remedies and natural remedies and all this. It never happened. So tell me, what is happening in the world? Something very, very important and something that's going to blow everyone's minds. So this is a guy who is a CEO of Miles Franklin, which is gold and silver dealer. People have been buying silver and gold like nobody's business. And the new replacement currency will be powered by blockchain and backed by gold. Very important. If you find a currency that is not part of the gold standard, do not buy it. If it says crypto or any word that is associated with death or black or darkness, anything, do not invest in it. Do not look at it or consider it. This is the trick that they're playing on the people. And if you have the eyes to see, you will know absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt. It's just like I saw the bank Synovus. It's spelled Synovus. And I'm like, look, it says sin of us. And the colors are red and white. Now, my bank, which was BB&T, is now Truist, and it's blue and white. Truist, and it makes it look like trust. And it's the truer bank. All this stuff. To me, it's a lot of fluff. But I don't trust any bank right now. And I don't even know what is going to happen. I also have a small town bank where I live. And I don't keep money in the bank, to be honest. I might have $5 in there right now for all I know. Because I don't keep up with it. I don't care about it. I'm like, I'm not going to keep my money in any bank. It's ridiculous. Why? Got to be really savvy about these things. But I believe that they will start phasing out the dollars and they will start exchanging it and giving us something else. But I've been asking my bank tellers if they know anything about the quantum financial system, and they claim they do not. They're like, what is that? They act like they don't even know what's going on. So what's happening? I don't know. I can't claim to know, but I do know I've been watching this BRICS nation since about 2016. I was like, wow, look at that. I'm like, what's going to happen to us? If these nations are moving back to a gold standard, what about us? They're going to leave us out. I want to go to gold back standard, because we all do. This is what we had that was taken away. So we're reversing what's been done, so that nobody can just go out here and print money with empty value. And really, honestly, is gold really valuable? Not really. I mean, not in the scheme of things. You can't eat it. I think what's more valuable is food and shelter and clothing, that kind of thing. But, with this monetary system, they just want to reverse what's been done. So the gold standard is coming. Yay! We should all be rejoicing, because it does say in the Revelations and all of that it's going to be, we're going to be raptured up to the sky. What does that mean? Rapture just means in ecstasy. We're going to be like overjoyed and praising the sun, probably, because we'll be like, oh my gosh. It doesn't mean anybody's really going anywhere. It means, hey, oh my gosh, look at how great this is for everybody. And I do feel like it's going to be good in the beginning. But again, after 1,000 years, watch the darkness creep back in, because everybody's going to be tied to electronic money. Very sketchy. Even though it is going to be gold backed, guess who owns all this technology? Yeah, the dark forces have owned all of the electric companies, all of the different outlets of car manufacturing, all of the different corporations tied to everything in our existence. It doesn't mean they're going away completely, guys. Just keep that in the back of your mind, because it never works that way. There can never be one more than the other. Always the dark, always the light. Push and pull, yin and yang, red shift, blue shift. It's like an endless game of tug of war. And round and round and round the wheel we go. Here we go. It's like going on a Ferris wheel. Anyway, that's what I have to say about all of this. The dollar is about to go away. It says those holding dollars will lose everything, but it's not just going to be snatched and then everybody's left broke. Remember, even though Trump is not our savior, guys, he's a talking head like everybody else. He's just a mouthpiece. He said there will be a peaceful transition. And more recently, he stated that America, United States, is going to go into a quantum leap into the future. Here we go. Get ready. Quantum leap is coming. Quantum leap. Remember that there was a TV show called Quantum Leap, and the guy was time traveling. Remember that? That was like back in the 90s or the 80s. I don't know. I can't remember. There's a lot of goofy things out, but this is it. So it says Russia, China, and India will emerge as the economic leaders of the world, and the U.S. empire will cease to exist. I don't think we're going to cease to exist. I think we need to be mindful of where Israel is going right now. Isis, Ra, and El. Isis, Ra, and El. So Isis is the moon, Ra is the sun, El is Saturn. They are trying to use the energy of these three things to their narrative and their benefit. They are the ones who are telling you that they are trying to usurp everything through magic. And that's where this Isis Ra El name comes from. It's the knowledge of the stars, and the ones in Hyperborea know all this stuff. And of course, that knowledge is pouring back right now, and it's there for us to begin learning. But before we get to the phase where there's actually Hogwarts School of Wizardry and Witchcraft, we've got to try to find the information. It's going to come again. All of those asylums and things, I believe they were part of Hogwarts, y'all. Originally, I feel like a lot of these buildings, the Tartarian buildings, were actually institutions for learning these foundational truths, especially the ones with the towers, the wizard towers or the alchemical towers, those long round things that are up in the sky, the spires. Those were used to study the stars. And only an alchemist and a magician, a magi or sage, would know its true purpose. They're telling you in Lord of the Rings with the two towers. They're telling you what those towers are for. I mean, come on, open your eyes and your mind and look and see the truth. It's all around us. We just have to start truly looking with our spiritual eyes and go, oh my gosh, that's what that's for. Oh my gosh, what is this? This is what that's for. Magic is coming back. We're going to know how to use our abilities. Hallelujah. I mean, I am excited for that aspect because we're going to need it when it comes down to battling against the dark forces of the underworld and this technology that they're suckering people into, because Starlink and Neuralink, remember, those two are tied to the underworld. Do remember this, very important. Starlink is you, your body, connected to their internet system. The star is you. The link is the connectivity through the graphene oxide that they've put in people. Starlink, then Neuralink, these things are the antithesis of life. That is part of the metaverse. Do not be deceived. Know that there's two worlds emerging. Know that there's going to be two paths to walk and to choose from. Very important, very informative. All of this stuff's coming together. Please see. It's hard for people to don their spiritual eyes because they've been following belief systems for too long. And if you don't have spiritual eyes, you can be misguided and confused. So I encourage everyone to go and look and see with your own eyes and do your diligence. Please, that's all I can ask for. There's a lot coming about, a lot of things coming down the pipe. Things are happening very fast because each reign of control is trying to suck the followers in. The darkness is trying to get its troops together and all its legions of relegioning the mind into a different purpose, a different cause. And they're out here trying to capture the minds of these people who are embracing every new age notion that is out here on the internet. And I refuse. I've seen some of it and I'm like, nope, this is deceptive. Elena Danaan, you know, all these people who are claiming to be of the light and all that. And no, do not. I repeat, do not follow. Do not become a believer. I've seen some of my friends doing it. I'm like, that's your path, but I am not going to sell myself into a belief system now that I have fully donned the eyes inside my spiritual mind to see things. And since it is nothing but revealing the truth inside of me, I feel it. And when you feel it, you know it. And you can be guided in the proper way by your own innate intuition, not someone else's ideas, because there's a lot of agents out here on the internet that are trying to lead people astray. Anna von Reich is one of those. I call her Von Reich, but she's in this whole truth movement about the U.S. Constitution and all this, trying to get people's sovereign rights and all of their different trust law, you know, things processed. That woman is a fraud. She took an oath, a blood oath, in the Catholic Church. When you have anything to do with blood oaths, you are spilling blood for dark purposes. And you can go to one of her websites and she admits that she took a blood oath. When you have to cut yourself to do anything, that's dark. I'm sorry, it's dark. And I don't believe in any of that. I don't believe in doing that. If you're a good person, you believe in good things, you don't have to bleed out to take an oath. That is of darkness. That's black magic. So these people are out here misleading, misguiding. That's Simon Parks, that's Charlie Ward. All these people out here are misleading people. And so many people are being deceived right now. I am just like, please, please do your diligence. That's all I can say. And yeah, I hope that people can come into their own, stand in your own power, find your inner power, find your inner wisdom, connect, go outside in nature and ask the stars, ask the sun, ask the moon. Please, you know, that's all you have to do. When you start really speaking to nature, whether it's inwardly, outwardly, physically, you know, pouring your heart out, asking for truth, you will receive it. You will receive your guidance that you are seeking. But do not seek it in other people. Not even me. You don't have to believe me 100%. I'm out here just like you. I'm trying to find evidence to show people, to say, hey, look, this is for your consideration. Please go out and just do your own diligence on this. I know what I've seen because I've been looking at this stuff for years. And it took me a long time before I decided I really needed to talk about it. But here I am trying to share. And I'm passionate about the truth. And I'm passionate about getting this information out to the masses, because there's nothing greater than trying to help people see. That's my true purpose here in this existence, is to be the person who sounds the alarm and says, hey, look at this. There's something coming. We need to watch. Pay attention. Anyway, I'm going to leave these links in the description box. You guys can go check them out for yourself. And then I will see you guys on the next one.